Welcome back to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today's very special guest is an incredibly talented actor who starred in series such as The Mayor, Search Party, and God Friended Me. He also starred in the film Audrey's Children, which debuted last year in Tribeca and was released across the US this past March. I'm very, very excited to welcome Brandon Micheal Hall. Brandon, thank you so much for being on today.
No, thank you, Matthew. Thank you for reaching out and having me on. This is such a pleasure, and I'm so honored to be a part of this.
Yeah, of course. I've been a fan for a while, especially God Friended Me was such a special show. I can't wait to talk more about that. What's funny is I live in New York, and I think when you were filming season one, maybe, I got to go by the set because I saw that, oh, they were filming this day, like by the Brooklyn Bridge, I think. So I got to
Oh,
meet you, Violet Siraj, very quickly, which was awesome.
oh, wow. Wait, I think that was, I think that might have been the pilot episode.
It could have been.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so dope.
Yeah, I remember
Maybe.
there was like a little dog park there and people were bringing the
Okay.
dogs over. Yeah,
Cool, 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 cool. Well, I'm glad you were able to come by on set. I mean,
of
that was
course.
it was such an amazing project, like, honestly. And it's been going through my head a lot recently how it's been almost 6 years, I think. Yeah, we're going on 6, 2020. Yeah. And, I mean, everyone has gone on to have amazing careers and, from the writer's room to the directors to the producers to the actors, everyone has just been able to soar. But man, what a great project that was. What an amazing project that really was.
Yeah, you definitely felt it. I feel like there was a lot of inspiration in the writing and everyone's acting and just came kind of
Yeah.
came off the screen. And so I'm curious
Yeah.
because I know for me and for fans of the show, it was very inspiring. But what were your first inspirations when it came to performing and getting interested in performing? Like, were there
Oh, that's
films or
amazing.
were there
That's a great
people?
question. Yeah, I always admired Eddie Murphy as an actor, and I feel one of the reason why is because Eddie Murphy always, or has always been able to ride a very healthy wave of comedy and drama. Those Robin Williams, those Eddies, those amazing actors that can flip and bring an audience in with humor as well as with depthness. And coming off of The Mayor, where it was very not slapsticky in a way, but more so of high comedy, to have Brian and Steven trust me with something that was a little bit more grounded was exactly what I needed. I was able to stretch my um, train acting abilities as well as loosen up a lot more on screen. So it was beautiful. It was absolutely brilliant. And honestly, everything was perfectly placed for that show. I mean, from hair to wardrobe to cast to background to, I mean, catering, everything. It was a perfect blend for that show, and yeah, um, I don't know. I still miss it, so that's why
Yeah.
it's nice to reminisce on it. But to truly say, like, what got me into the role was to sit down with Brian and Steven and hear their idea of who they wanted this character of Miles to be. And it's always a beautiful thing when a role gets to you and you realize, like, oh, this is actually quite close to who I am as a person. I was raised up in the church. I had went atheist agnostic for a time when I had started my journey as an actor, and I had those conversations with higher powers and higher beings and with God, um, how I could be a better person, and I still have those conversations. Still not to say I put it in a category, but more so that it's a human experience between the spiritual, and a lot of people can connect with that. So getting into the character was extremely easy. It was extremely fun. Um, the only hard part I can definitely say is I think the challenge with any actor or with any storytelling is to be blunt, honest, and truthful. Not to shy away from the bad and only focus on the good. And I was able to do that. At least I felt I was able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it. Just the character of Miles, there was a very sincereness in his character
Very
throughout
much
the whole
so.
series. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm curious, that these were your inspirations for Miles, and I'm wondering what inspired you to want to act in general. I know you went
Oh
to
man,
Juilliard to study and got your start there. So, what like propelled you there? It's like, oh, I want to do this for a living.
a few things. And number one has to be with the fact that I'm outside right now. I love being outside. I love even when it's cold, like it's quite cold right now. I got on a Dickens padded. But I live in a city, and so when I'm able to come home for the holidays, being outside is such a blessing. And what it does is it grounds, at least for me as an artist, coming from the country, coming from South Carolina, it grounds me in a place of remembrance and also of understanding. And I say that in a way of understanding the world around me. I have space to think, to create, to allow my mind to just go through every single idea. And I think that was the start of acting. Those ideas started to manifest when I was introduced to the church and the Southern Baptist more so. My mom used to be a preacher and she's more of a minister now and still spreading the good word, but it's the theatrics of being in a Southern church. You can't get that anywhere else except for on the stage or at a musical, you know? The costumes, the lights, the energy, the spirit of it all. And I remember when I was a kid, Revelations was always my favorite book. I love the idea of the future and how it was painted in such a theatrical way. And I remember sitting in the church one day. Don't remember how old I was, but I do remember it was during this time called revival in Southern churches, and maybe they have it in other churches, but in Southern churches they have this thing called a revival, where for 7 days you go through a passage, kind of like this, passage of understanding deeper into a message. And I remember looking up at the preacher and being like, I want to do that. Like, how is he able to take this old text and empower all of these people to walk away? And then 6 days, 7 days later, they come back and they've got a new experience. I want to be able to be that person. Well, the church was not my calling, uh, at all. But I found my ministry when I got to the South Carolina Governor School for the Arts and Humanities. I was doing Othello at the time, and Shakespeare I fell in love with because I have dyslexia, and reading old texts strengthened my mind in a way that I had never experienced before. Anyway, so I'm doing the play, and this kid is sitting on the front row, a little black boy sitting on the front row, and he's looking up at me while I'm doing this soliloquy. And afterwards, he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I want to do what you're doing." And that was the moment that I realized I had become the preacher, just at a different place in my life. And I guess you can say, as being an Aquarius or just being a very forward thinking individual, that's when I made a decision that was like, okay, I'm going to do this for real. But the other side of that coin that I had to understand was the third essence of being in this business, which is the business. So going to Juilliard really enhanced my craft, but it was truly after I got out of that amazing school, being around those amazing people, and a little bit during, was I learned about networking. That theater and the arts, as much as it is about the individual creating these stories, it's about these networking opportunities so that you can be on these amazing platforms like what you have, or you can be in these rooms to talk about shows and pitch ideas and stuff like that. Um, and that was the other side of acting that I started to fall in love with, more so than just performing. I love the business side of this business. Um, and yeah, so that was pretty my trajectory for the most part.
That's beautiful because your journey had a few different moments of real magic where things kind of
Oh yeah, for sure.
locked into place for you. And
Oh
so I'm
yeah.
curious, like you talk about the networking and the business side of it, and that's really about community. Because I know this business could also be very solitary sometimes. I mean, you have high highs, and the next week it's the lowest of lows, and who knows how long
Oh
that'll
yeah.
last. And so, how do you learn to overcome those obstacles and kind of lean on the people around you?
I saw this quote recently by Harrison Ford. I think it was inside the actor studio. He was sitting down on a news channel, and he said that when he started doing a different task, that's when his acting became better because he wasn't just focused on the next email or focused on the next phone call. He would do his work and then he would go off and do something that he was passionate about. I've started to want to get into the social media world because I say all these things and they're going to tie together, I promise you. But because number one, there's no going back to the old way. Things have changed. The industry is different. And I don't want to be an old fart sitting down years from now being like, well, I should have got on AI. I should have did the podcast. Should have did, just do it. Like what you're doing. Just do it. Just enjoy it and do the work. Um, I saw on this YouTube channel, this young lady was talking about how number one, no one cares, first and foremost, about like, the way that you put out your content or how it's made. Just do it. And secondly, that your stories are the connection. And I've been sitting back for a while because it's been like 6 years since God friended me. And luckily I've been blessed to do some amazing projects. It's still on a project I Love LA and doing all of these theater, going back to the theater and this, that, and the third. But I realized that I needed another passion, you know? The passion of acting will always be there for me. I always made that promise to myself, but it's not fun anymore. To be honest, the industry has changed so much where it is an individual thing now. The idea of collaboration is when you've gotten your platform set up. We are able to collaborate because you made a platform. You took the time out to do the work. We don't have to sit around and wait for a phone call anymore. You don't have to wait for that email. They're coming to you, you know? So the industry has changed from that big, like, I'm walking into the auditioning room and I'm going to meet this person and da 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 and get in my sides to I just go up to my room and put up my backdrop and fill my tape. Well, I got to find something else that's going to feed my creative spirit. And social media and other works are a way to do it. So again, I say that to say when the highs are high, they're great because they come with a paycheck. Like, let's just be honest. And you get to work again in a truthful manner. You get to work with amazing people and be back on set and this, that, and the third. But the time out is done for waiting for those opportunities to come. The new passion has to be felt in the idea of complete storytelling. And that's what I'm discovering now. That no matter what type of story I want to tell, it's up to me, not a industry or, a network or whatever the case may be, to tell my stories. I have to tell my stories now. Yvette Nicole Brown said something once that never left my head. That has also been a reoccurrence as I think about how I want to enter into a new space, kind of new space. But she said they're called followers for a reason. They follow you somewhere. So where are you taking them? You know? So I think I'm at a place now where I'm trying to understand where I want to take my followers. I know that there are people out there, kids, adults, whatever the case may be, that find my message and what I do in this art as an inspiration. And you can't be the mysterious artist anymore. There's no such thing about it. Everyone's out there. So where do I want to lead these? Pardon me. Boy, where do I want to lead my audience? In this upcoming stage of my life. The highs are amazing. The highs are what they are. But in these quote unquote low periods, I feel even in the stock market, you can look at it. Those are the moments where you really study the game. You really start to take time out to study what other people are doing and what you want to do for when that next high does come, because I believe it does come. The pendulum always swings back. What have you done in that small amount of time so that you can say, like, hey, I have this as well? And I think that comes with getting a new passion. I'm passionate about finances. I'm passionate about storytelling. I'm passionate about travel. Um, there's so many things that I can draw from, and there's an audience out there who wants to relate to it. So, yeah. Also, I went back to school. I'm taking Spanish courses and I'm learning my mi español. Um, and yeah, I find different things that that fuel me, so I can continue to create. But yeah, that's. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. I feel like, someone said it recently to me that this is also one of the only industries where you constantly have to keep proving yourself, even when you're
You
in the
have
middle
to.
of a job. And I'm wondering if where you are now in life, if you think the key to that, maybe the solution to it is really just knowing yourself, maybe proving it to yourself instead of others.
Yeah, because we live in a generation now. You understand this, Matthew. Like we live in a generation where you can't wait on anybody. You know, you ask your friends all day, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that," and cool. Once again, the collaboration is there. You need a team. You need a strong team. But we live in a day and age where if you have a phone and you have a story, you have content. That content builds profit, no matter where it is. And then the definition of what that profit is has to mean something to you. But yeah, truthfully, I think I think we're in such a great shift right now in the industry where the individual of storytelling is more needed than ever before, truthfully, because the content is needed. Um, the other thing I think as well that doesn't get talked about enough is education on finances. Like in the lows, you gotta understand finances, whether that is bookkeeping, whether that is taxes, whatever your brain might want to settle in. You got to understand the business of whatever you're doing because content without understanding is dead completely. No one's ever going to really snag onto it. Um, so yeah, I think those two things. I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry.
No,
Uh,
absolutely.
uh,
And you know what's funny about it
cool.
is it's such a universal experience, especially in this industry, that not a lot of people talk about. It's easy to talk about all the successes, but not the in-betweens, not the day-to-day, not how to make it work.
And the make it work is the hustle. Like you never can lose your hustle for this industry or for this game. That's why I say having another passion is very important because it makes your hustle harder for what you really want to do. If this is what I'm going to take out time to do, I'm going to focus on that thing. I can't give it everything because I'll drain myself. So I need something fun to refuel that or to educate myself on it so I can give back to it. If the thing, like acting, is not giving back to you, then why continue to do it? Go find something else. It's okay. It'll always be there. And then come back. Um, I think another thing as well is when I was working on the mayor, I say this quote a lot, but it's very true. When I was working on the mayor, Arsenio Hall had told me something because I love picking people's brains and just asking them, the great old question, what would have done if you had this, that, and a third? And he told me there's a reason why this industry is called show business. And there's a reason why show is smaller than the word business. Because in this industry, you have to show less and do more business. And I never forgot that. The business, if you don't understand it, if you don't at least have a map for what you want, you can show all day, but it's going to fall at some point because there are other people in this business that know how to run it and they can run it for you. That's simple, especially if it's good. So, also the other quote from Jay-Z, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. So let me handle my business. Damn. Um, Understanding the business for anyone that's watching this, and I'm pretty sure Matthew, you can attest to this, is understand your business and then show as much as you want because no one can take your business away. That's the mental side. The beautiful thing about going to school. That's another thing I would say with these in betweens is go back to school. Always stretch yourself. Go back to school. Find a new task. Find a new something else that enlightens you. Um, because again, it just helps for whatever your passion is.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose why I started this podcast too, about finding that magic in the world. And sometimes it's not one
Right.
thing. You're searching for it in different places, and the journey is part of the beauty of it. And it seems like you've been doing that your whole life, which is incredible. Even in the way
Yeah.
you
I
were
mean,
talking
even
about taking on different roles, comedy,
Mhm.
serious, all these things. There's there's certain elements that feed different parts of you, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everything. Well, I think that was the beautiful thing of going to the governor's school and going to Juilliard is that you learn very quickly that what the dancers are doing, the musicians are doing. What the musicians are doing, the actors are doing. What the actors are doing, what the writers are doing, and they create for each other. And if I don't understand what you're doing, I'm not going to really have a full mentality of what I'm doing. All the arts connect. Everything connects. At least I believe so. It's just about using the right tools and getting out and digging and figuring it out. Honestly, yeah. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny you because you've played so many different types of roles and even done some voice acting,
Yeah.
and it's clear each serves you in some way. But I'm wondering if there's
Oh yeah.
any kind of role that really sparks something even more than others. Is there something that stands out that you're like, wow, this was life changing in some way?
God friended me will always be. It's always top tier for sure. It was the changing moment. I think that. Yeah, it's definitely God friended me. I think the mayor was the leap. Search party was the consistency, but God friended me was the challenge. You know, and yeah, yeah. Also, to what you were talking about for voiceover too, for injustice, because that was just something that I had prayed about and like manifested to finally play a DC character, especially Cyborg, and that was just, I mean, I still watch that show and blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because I love DC characters. And I love the game Injustice. So, what was
That's
that
so
experience
good.
like doing the
So
voice of Cyborg, especially in this reality, like having to face against other heroes?
yeah, voice acting was everything I thought it would be. I thought the only thing that I thought there would be more of is seeing the other actors, but hey, voice acting, who cares? But to be in the room, um, and still being able to use my body in a theatrical way and studying Cyborg as much as I did to get that voice down. Because it's still funny. My friends, when they see it, they're like, "Wait, that's you?" I'm like, "Yes, good. That's what I want. What I want to hear." It was just iconic, man. It was just so iconic for me. And to work with Warner Brothers, like to be in that family and forever, to have that connection. The stuff that they sent for it was amazing and it was brilliant. To watch it was brilliant. The process of it though for voice acting is really again study that character, study the character and mimic, at least for me, is to mimic the one that you like the most and then try to naturalize it as much as possible. Make it big, make it very Jim Carrey, make it like the character. And then when you get in the room, find your own human part of it. And I think I did it pretty well. I think it worked
Oh,
quite
for
well.
sure. Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I know sometimes with voice acting, there's some more freedom to be a lot more
Oh yeah.
animated and go big.
Oh yeah. For sure. You have to. You have to. And the mic picks it up. The mic is like the camera of the lips, I guess. Of the camera is the mic of the eyes. I don't know. That could be a quote. That's fine. Um, but you have to because it picks it up. It picks up your movements. It picks up your body engagement. Um, and you have to be animated. Also, when you're watching it, you want to be. If you're working for DC or Marvel and you're watching yourself on screen as Cyborg and you don't want to like feel like a 7-year-old kid, you do something else. Like seriously, it's so fun. And I love animation. It's so much fun. I would
Yeah.
definitely do it again for sure.
Manifesting more of that because, yeah, you were an incredible
Yes,
cyborg. So
sir.
I know you have it in you. Um,
Thank you.
that experience sounds like so much fun. And I'm curious about your experience on Search Party. You have like this
Oh man.
ensemble of cast members and a lot of people to work with.
Search party days, man. Search party is it's exactly what it is, and it lives that way for me. It's a staple. It's a New York staple. It's my first consistent job that I had outside of school, and I got to work with other New York actors from NYU, from I think Groundlings as well from UCB. I was taking UCB courses at the time. Um, man, I have a really solid story on it. Um, this is my office. This is my car. I stay in here. Always on the go. To Search Party. No, Search Party was monumental because I don't think I've ever. I can tell this story. When I did this TV show called The Characters, and Tony Hernandez, and Lily Burns, who was over Jack's Media, who made Search Party. I ran into them on a plane coming from Los Angeles, going back to New York. And they were like, "Hey, you're Brandon, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's me. You guys are in first class. How do you know who I am?" And they were like, "You just worked on our TV show, The Characters." And they were like, they be on the lookout for an email. Be on the lookout for an email. So I get this email about Search Party. I was replacing a guy that they had already cast on Search Party. Some didn't work out with the guy, whatever. It's totally fine, I guess. Um, and when I got it, I was very under the impression like, okay, this is going to be the moment. This is going to be the big thing. This is the start of my career, which in most cases it was. When it came down to negotiation time, when we got picked up for the pilot, because I was coming on as a guest, I got to negotiate my deal. And well, guest recurring. And at that time, or during that time in 2015, 16, I guess is different now for negotiations. But I was able to open my negotiation, or open my contract. So I told TBS at the time, I'm more than happy to do this show. I'll take a pay cut if you guys allow me to stay open in my first position, because I really think that I can get another show. I really think I can get another show. They were like, okay, if you sure take a pay cut, give them
Yeah.
the less money. It's totally fine. So it happened. Search Party goes amazing. It blows up in New York. Walking down the street and people are like, "You're Julian. You're such an asshole," and all this other stuff. And I was like, "Yay! I finally made it." And then across the table comes the mayor. And it was in the last month of my contract. And I booked the mayor the last month of my Search Party contract. And that's why I was able to work on the mayor Search Party, and then God friended me in Search Party at the same time.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy town. And I remember being on a rooftop at a party in Brooklyn right before I graduated with a really good friend of mine. And I told him I wanted to work on two TV shows at the same time when I graduated. And it happened. Now, on that project, the reason why I think the mayor, for me, even though it didn't go for more seasons, did so well is because I learned in a crash course how to act comedy on TV. If it was not for um, Alia Shawkat, um, Meredith, I think I'm saying her name right. Meredith, Meredith, um, John and John, my acting would have not been what it was on The Mayor starting off, because they taught me that it was okay to let go of all of the Juilliard training, to be on camera and not lie, to really tell a story in this small amount of time. I started taking classes at UCB once I got on Search Party, because I was like, I'm acting with John Early. Oh my God, I gotta and trust me, whew, John Early, John Reynolds are brilliant. They're brilliant. All of them brilliant what they do. John Early is he's a different beast, but the sweetest guy in the world. There's a scene where John and I think is, yeah, second season, where he's lying about his cancer situation. And we're sitting at the bar, and I say that I'm going to write down his information and call him this, that, and the third. It took us almost 3 hours to shoot that scene because I could not get my character or lines or whatever down. John was the one that pulled me to the side after we had to take a lunch. I had to take a lunch. and come back and reshoot. John pulled me to the side and was like, "You know who you are. You know where you come from." John comes from university as well. He's like, "Just let all of that go. Be with me here now." And that taught me the power of less is more. In school, we talk about it: less is more, do less, understand less. It was the moment that I realized less is more if you did your homework. Homework is for home. I knew who Julian was. I was deep into my character, asking all my essential questions, but I brought all that homework to the set and it was getting in the way of actually communicating with John. And once I just trusted that we're in the second season, I know what I'm doing, I was able to tap into a whole different side of what that character was and what that character means in the completeness of the story, which is why I think Search Party is such a staple. It rides that same wave in such a magical time of New York City, comic TV shows of Broad City and Broke Girls, and I mean, what a time that was early to 2015, 16, 17. Comedy Central at its peak, TBS at peak. But it taught me that yes, do all of that cool stuff that you do at UCB, that you do in college. But when you come on camera, they hired you for a reason because you can do it. So just do it. Play. It doesn't change. Then when I went to the mayor, so much easier. Mayor is a little bit more grounded but slapsticky, right? So even though Search Party is grounded but a little bit more cynical in the humor, I was able to find that lift out of it. And hence why God Friended Me worked so well right after that. Because the reality of Search Party, that groundedness in the character's universe, all you got to do is just find that one little thing that makes them tick, that one little thing that makes them quirk. And the audience is like, oh, I know that person. I know that person. And it's worked every single time. Search Party was the foundation for how to act on TV. I can say that for me, with full honesty. Like, and also if you never shot, if you never shot a TV show in New York City, that will teach you a lot about how to
I'm
act on
sure.
TV. But yeah, it's Search Party was definitely a huge staple and will always be a staple. I've been posting old videos from set and just like, just reminiscing. So it's really nice to go down that road again.
Amazing. And that advice about acting and simplicity. Do you think that somehow translated into your real life as well, like your personal life and how you were able to kind of just focus on the next task and kind of
Well,
get away all the fluff and thoughts that kind of you get overwhelmed by anyone and when they're trying to make something happen, there's a lot of voices in your head.
yeah. Oh man, that's a great question. I don't think my life will ever be simple. I don't think I can maintain simple life. I think I have a very comfortable life. I think I have a very um uh at certain times still and calm life, but simple, I can't live in simplicity. That's why I can do it on the screen. It's a challenge. I like more, and not in a sense of like overness. I like s- I in my brain I'm always living 2 years ahead of myself. I see the trends, I enjoy the trends. My problem is I'll be honest, man, I'm lazy. I'll just be honest about it. I'll just tell you, I'm lazy. I I was trying to think of some, like, a grandiose thing to say, but the truth of it is I have not been as productive as I would like to be. Now, here's the thing. I say that, and you look at what I've been doing over the last 6 years, and you're like, "Bro, what do you
Yeah.
give yourself some grace." This is why it cannot be simple because that type of comfortability of sitting back and saying, "Yeah, I did do Broadway after that. Yeah, I went off and worked at the Old Globe, and yeah, I got to do Top Dog Underdog at the amazing Playhouse Theater, and I've traveled the world, and I've started a DJ career and done yoga instructor and this and the third." It goes back to the passion. I found other passions. I found other things that made me happy that I could invest myself into. But the true one of acting, the true one of being back on a TV show, the true one of being in that world of a cast and crew, and that's what I love. I have been lazy because I can create it for myself. I've done it. I did it with a short film that I made called uh The Art of Loving. So I made this short called The Art of Loving, which was an ode to New York City. And I did it because I knew I was going to leave the city, and I wanted to at least create one project that reminded me of what my time was in the city. I hired my roommates, I hired folks that went to Juilliard, lots of Juilliard actors in there, a lot of locals to just be on set. I shot it at 3 locations, and I wrote and direct and produced the whole story myself. That's probably why it took me so long to remember it, because once you've been
You
through
did a
that
lot.
process once, it goes phew. But I realized at that moment, and of course, I can say, "Oh, I should have took the momentum and kept going," or "I should have did this, shoulda, whatever." What I do realize is that I did something without asking anyone for permission. All I asked was for schedules, and I got people's schedules and I made it work. And as I was saying before, we are living in a day and age where the normal waiting around, the normal go get the agent, the normal go get the manager, the normal like I need the audition to make that big break is gone. It's sad, triste. It's very sad. The fact that don't really you can't really be a mysterious actor like you used to be. But, you put that mask up and you try on a new one. And these kids, these amazing kids, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 21, whatever the case, they are making art and people are watching it. I'm watching it. It's great. It's high quality. And they're asking for no permission. Zero. And the networks are looking at them saying, I need that. When the tables have turned, we're in a revolution. And that's what's happening in acting and cinema and entertainment. I don't know about theater yet. It's probably still, it's there in the case. But as an actor, and I say that to the masses, and I'm saying it to myself, create your own work, create your own IP. You don't need a lot to do it, and means are there, the people are there to teach you, the collaborators are there who want to work. If we're still waiting around for these big networks and TV shows, and which, let me also just put it out there, not saying you can't still wait around while you're working,
Yeah.
because it will be great to still work on one of those channels. um, but while you're doing that, find the other passion, find a different way to tell your story, to share your story, not for the profit. The profits will always come. That's life. And if you live long enough, you will understand. The more that you focus on your passion, the more the universe will grant you access to make it happen. And it's usually through funds. But to educate someone else, to put someone else on a pedestal, like what you're doing with your podcast, I'm going to keep hawking on you, man, because I love the fact that you have created this magical podcast, this magical world, this place in which people can share and other people can understand. I mean, it's a classroom, and that's what we need more of. So I will continue to encourage out there, encourage myself as well, that if you're worried about making the content or making the content, find your lane. There is a lane out there, and then the calls will come. The calls will definitely come. And if they don't come, then you make the call. You have the content. You have the material to say, I am a creator. Whether you like it or not, whether they want to pick it up, you have it forever. And that's what's beautiful. So that's my little spill.
No, I love what you said
Car talks.
about asking permission or not asking permission, basically,
Yeah.
because I think it's such an important part of the process where
Yeah.
part of that is also maybe feeling like you need to prove something to others, but really you just got to prove it to you. You got to do something for you. And for me, starting this podcast, I had the idea, I had this feeling because everything I take in, whether it's a show, a movie, a book, are things that inspire me. It's things that fulfill something in me. And teach me more about life and the world and maybe people who are nothing like me, but it helps me understand more, it helps me connect more. And I know in my lowest moments, it's those stories that have kept me going. And so to
Right.
be able to talk to others who get that and who are part of that process and maybe are pursuing their own dreams and know what it's like to have the struggle too. It's something I
Mhm.
really wanted to share with others so people can connect with it. And when I first started it, it was before way before it debuted and I was working with someone and I was very comfortable with kind of letting them take the lead. Like it was my brainchild. They came on, but I was in a way asking for permission
Yeah.
for them to like, oh
Their
well, when do
own
you want to
idea.
schedule this? When do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it that didn't work out. They got busy. They couldn't keep up with it. And then I had to make the leap to do it on my own.
Right.
And once I knew that I was ready and I could do it, was when things started to move. And a lot of that has to do with faith. I think partly faith in myself, but also
Yeah.
anyone who has said yes, who has been on, that's their faith in me, which has been
Mhm.
such a beautiful part of the process. And I'm very grateful for that, you being on. And, when it comes to faith, it seems like your journey with God Friended Me was a big part of that, both as
Mm,
yourself, Brandon, and as Miles. And so
mhm.
I'm very curious about more about that experience because it does feel like it was very impactful and still holds that weight. And
Yeah.
also your dynamics on the show. I mean, you, Violet, Siraj were like this trio, and it was just great seeing the three of you. So what was that like kind of moving to that dynamic and your experience as a whole?
Oh, man. Uh, as, always takes a preacher's kid to quote the Bible when they don't, always read it as much as they used to. But, as the Bible says, all you need is faith the size of a mustard seed. If you've never seen a mustard seed, it's like that big.
Yeah.
And that's all you really need. That one leap of faith, like what you were just saying, that one day of doing the podcast your own, editing it on your own, scheduling it on your own, and saying, wait, this is my brainchild. I can do this. I can do this. Don't need anybody else's permission. Um, and that's what Miles did with God Friended Me, honestly. He created this podcast out of an understanding that he had a question and no one else could answer it, or maybe someone could. And then there was possibly someone out there that could answer his questions. Um, and his, trusty crew with Violet and Surge and Javicia. Javicia's getting married. Crazy enough.
Wow.
Amazing. So happy for her. Joe Morton. Um, like the what we were able to create in those 2 seasons has still impacted people for 6 years, about 6 years, 5 years. Because Brian and Steven had the faith to say, hey, one of us believes in this and the other one of us believes in this. So let's have a conversation about it. That was a hard one to do because you got God in the title. Not everyone's going to be reciprocated to that. But and Brian and Steven were always adamant about this during the pilot, is once they get past the title, once they see what we're doing, they're going to understand, oh, this is what this message is about. It's not about converting. It's about literally helping people while you're asking questions to understand yourself in the world and how it works. And that's why people are still, still connected to it. That's why, it's so crazy and funny enough, but that's also why if you see they created shows that mimic it right afterwards, same with the mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Um, but it was such an impactful show, and I have been blessed. I have been able to work, and when I look at my body of work, there has not been one set. Okay, maybe one, but that's an exception because yes. But there have been one set where I haven't enjoyed, and even that one I enjoyed doing it, but um, that I haven't enjoyed being with the cast, the crew, and the story. I've talked to other actors, they'd be like, oh man, you're lucky, and oh, you've never had to experience this, that, and a third. And it's like, no. I think the other thing is that I've been blessed to work with people who are grounded enough in their craft to understand what we are doing, hence the story that we're telling. And also, I've been the lead of some of these projects, and it trickles down. So I give myself a pat on the back to say, like, hey, you ran a good ship during those times because the environment was good. The response was amazing. Maybe it didn't last as long as you wanted to, but you got to learn so much from it. And the people who you've connected with, they still find me or reach out and say, hey, I remember that time on set, or I remember this, and that shows on screen. And then the audience sees it and they're like, I want to watch more of this. Everything that happens behind the scenes on a TV set will show on the screen. You will know if these characters get along. We got along. Brian and Steven created or cast amazing, amazing performers, but also people that they knew would be really good friends in New York City. And even when we went to Paris, when we got to shoot in Paris, which is crazy, and the blessing to CBS, that CBS took a chance on us and a chance on me, that they wanted to meet with me right after. Mayor had closed. That Saturday, I was in CBS after I met with ABC that morning. It was a crazy time, man. Trust me, it was a wild time to live in Los Angeles, man. Wada wada. But they wanted to meet and they were like, hey, we have a project. We want to know if you want to be on board with us. And that was the same thing I was saying before. Yes, I didn't create the mayor, but I was a part of a project that someone else saw that was like, hey, I want you to be in it. Now you can create content so fast that people can see it at a high speed. They're like, yeah, I do remember that person. I know that person. I want to see that person. And now they want to put you on screen. So the the time of God friended me, back to the question, the time of God friended me, and to be around such amazing actors who are still doing, brilliant, brilliant work, was monumental. It was an actor's dream. And again, to shoot in New York, to go from shooting in, to go from shooting Search Party in New York, to go shoot LA for the mayor, and then go back to New York to shoot God friended me. It's a dream. And then right after that, to go to the UK to shoot Chloe. It was monumental time. Monumental time.
And a very busy time. You're always on the
Oh, and
move.
still that's why I can't be what was the word you said?
Simple, yeah.
Simple.
No way.
No simple life here. Too complex and too fun.
Now, the way God Friended Me ended, or the reveal, um,
Right.
I want to talk about that because I think there's
Yeah.
so much beauty behind the reveal of what it was. Because in some ways, I could see the character of Miles being shaken by that, and
Right.
yet at the same time, there's so much beauty and understanding that it was just people trying to do good and create
Right.
good and be good. And to me, that's the overall message of the show,
Right.
which I think is what makes it such like a legacy show. And can't really be recreated the same way because it's such a
No.
unique lightning in a bottle thing. But how did you feel both in having to, I guess, adapt to it or react to it as Miles, but also just reading the script and thinking, "Oh wow, so this is what it is."
No, I still applaud Brian and Steven for the way they closed God Friended Me. And Marcos. I gotta throw Marcos out there as well. That shot of the kid on the mountain, we shot during the pilot. They kept that footage for 2 years, knowing that that was going to be the shot at the end. We shot that somewhere, I think it was Utah or Colorado, one of the two. Man, I still can't believe that's so wild. But I say that to say the objection of the ending was to remind the audience and Miles that there is no answer, that it's okay not to know, that the purpose of, and if we can also do spiritually, is like the purpose of it is not to know you, is not to know who the the person is, not to know. I'm not, it's hard to say because the Bible says to know God, but as oh, was that beautiful nun? She's a nun, famous nun. What's her name? Mm, no, it's okay.
Mother
There's
Teresa?
a quote, Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a quote from Mother Teresa where she says, "If you want to gain, if you want to get closer to God, seek Him in those around you." So the idea is not to think that, oh, I must get closer to this man or woman in the sky. I must get closer to humanity because God lives in all of these people, the good, the bad, the weird, the down, the up, all of it is a form of God. And he friended you. So befriend back, you know? Like the idea is not to just fight with your dad about is God real? No, have the conversation about humanity and God. Who cares if God is real? You're here. Doesn't matter. And that also could be the disappointment, which is kind of, hidden in there as well, is like, what if you do pass and you go and it's like, well, maybe there was no answer. It's okay to have that idea, but what are you doing? Are you helping someone in the process? Maybe it is true. Maybe he does and she does live somewhere else that we're going to get to see at some point in our life. Who cares? That's the inevitable. What are you doing right now? Who have you friended today? Who have you helped today? Because that's going to get you closer to understanding who God really is. And it's all packed within that mountain scene. It's all packed within that last episode that it's okay not to know, that not knowing doesn't make you less than. It actually opens you up to ask more questions. Maybe I don't know about this. So let me ask somebody about it, you know? And I think that was the power of the entire story and the journey of Miles. Miles's journey was to remind himself like it's okay not to know, but are you asking the right questions? And when you ask those questions, are you helping the people along the way who are also asking those same questions? Because you actually might have an answer for them and they might actually have an answer for you. And at the end of the day, if you get closer, great. That's the purpose. And if not, try again tomorrow. The beautiful thing of podcasts, you know. So, yeah.
I think part
So
of the beauty of that is the recurring theme in your own life about taking action, like doing
taking
something,
action.
like learning something new, putting your heart into something else. And it reminds me of a quote that good isn't something you are, it's something you do.
Something you
And I
do.
think that's kind of the
Yeah.
biggest message that comes from it, which
And
it
if
seems
people
like
have to
also
tell you
runs
that
through
they're
your life.
good, yeah, if people tell you that they're good, they're not. It's like
Yeah.
people say, like, I don't want to put this in this, no, you do. You do. That's why you brought it up. So just do it. The and and again, like who cares about the ending? It's never, and we learn this as, hopefully people learn this as they grow up. It's not about the product. The product is a byproduct of the process. Focus on the process of getting there. You'll get there. We'll all get to the inevitable at some point in time, and whatever that may be. But what did you do along the way? How did you grow along the way? You know?
Yeah. And it seems like you've taken a lot of those lessons and growth in your own life with not every not only every project you've done, but all the in-betweens too.
Yeah.
And now, you've been on I Love LA. And so how's that experience? And like, how does it differ from previous ones?
Man, it's so cool. Honestly, I love LA. Feels like the pendulum swung back to Search Party. It's quite fascinating what the universe and how the universe prepares you for the next chapter in your life. But I love LA is a modern day Search Party for me, at least comedy wise.
Yeah.
It reminds me of working back on the set with Lily and Tony and being with amazing actors and actresses, and we just got picked up for a second season. So, fingers crossed. They put me in one.
Yes.
Hopefully the expansion of the story will go for. But I think either way, what they are doing with I Love LA is going to be much bigger than what people think it is. It's gonna be a really monumental comedy for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're going to be following because that's really exciting and excited for season two. Is there
Absolutely.
anything else that you're in the middle of working on, just even in your personal life, doing things that you want to share or talk about, or that you're allowed to talk about?
Right. There are a few things I'm not allowed to talk about.
Okay. But
I
that's a good thing. That's
gotta put that
exciting.
up
So,
first. Yeah. Hey, it's not a simple life, man. But I will say I am interested in getting into the vertical space. I think it is something that I should have, tapped into ages ago, but there's nothing wrong with picking up now and creating with other collaborators. I was having a meeting this morning with someone who I worked on a project with earlier in my career, and we were talking about verticals, like what kind of stories can we put together to make these. I'm also back in school, which has been very nice, taking Spanish as well as financial courses. because business and administrations is something I'm very interested in, and thinking about going fully for my MBA. So fingers crossed
Awesome.
on that.
Awesome.
And yeah, DJing for fun because who doesn't like being on stage, especially when you're an actor? But yeah, I'm as I say, I don't do a lot. I'm constantly doing something.
You are. Do you have a DJ
But
name?
I do glory,
Glory. Awesome.
glory, glory. Yep.
Well, Brandon, I want to thank you so much for being on. It has been a
Thank you.
pleasure. You are a true magic maker. So I was
Oh,
very
thank
hyped to
you.
have you on.
Absolute man. You're a magic maker as well. You made the
Thank you.
magic. I'm glad to be a part of the dust.
For everyone out there, go make some magic. And thanks for being part of the journey. See you next
Oh,
time.
we shall.